This is any street. It could be yours.
Hello there, come in.
These could be your neighbours.
Hello, Sue, come in.
Hi.
Hello.
But this is my street. Like so many people nowadays, I'd kept myself to myself. And after 14 years of living here, I knew practically none of my neighbours. But I was curious and guessed that if I looked, there would be a story behind every door on my street. So I began knocking on the 116 doors on my street. Some neighbours thought I was just being nosy, but most were happy to let me in.
Hello, welcome to my home. Thank you.
I found millionaires living next door to people on benefits, convicted drug smugglers, classical composers, success, tragedy and loneliness.
So imagine yourself now sitting all day on your own, seeing nobody.
All human life here on my own doorstep, and most of them strangers to each other. I started at the biggest house in the street. Bought in 1968 for just £7,000, this is the home of Thomas and his son, Thomas.
I came to England with my clothes in a polythene bag from Ireland, and I bought 6 houses in this country. I've got 3 still. I own this house, I own the next house, and I own a house in Chiswick.
What are you doing to that cat, Thomas?
It's getting older and I'm giving it a massage.
Really?
Yeah, I like a massage. I've been living in this street since 1968. This is the only house I've ever lived in.
Is it?
Yeah, so I'll be come up 39 in March in the very same house. I have no intention of moving. It's getting more posher and posher all the time. It's a gold mine between the 2 houses.
Are you sitting on a fortune here?
A few £1 million.
Really? So you're a millionaire, Thomas?
Yeah.
Over the road from Thomas and Thomas, I found a young man living alone on benefits in the first floor flat of a rented house, Adam.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm alright, Adam. How are you?
I'm cool, I'm good. Please come on in. I suffer from Tourette's syndrome. You'll hear me tick and swear and use racist language and sexist language and things like that. Please excuse it. It's part of the condition. It's not me at all. Fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, niggas, 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 niggas. I've had this flat now for about 4.5 years. Unfortunately, it's pretty messy. Fuck off, niggas, tzipper. Well, this is the living room.
Not many people on the street know that Adam exists.
Oh, fantastic.
But further down the road, Sarah knows all her neighbours.
When we moved here, we had really good neighbours on that side. Lovely old man called Alan, who died in the house. Well, now it's a bunch of feckless Kiwis, you know, who aren't malicious, but they're very noisy and loud and inconsiderate. They make a lot of noise. They do 24-hour parties and hog roasts and fall through the windows on Christmas Day and all sorts of things.
Because it's a party house, it gets quite trashed.
Everyone all locked and loaded?
At Christmas, we had a huge feed. Everyone got up. We had like a little piglet on the spit. And so the boys got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, dug a little hole and was cooking the pig, and we chucked quite a lot of it out because we got too drunk that night and left it all on the table, and that wasn't
4 of us got food poisoning.
The population of the Kiwi household can fluctuate between 8 and 14 people. But near the top of the street, I found a house where there's now never more than one. Is it lonely being on your own all day?
And what do you think?
I am accustomed to be lonely, so
It doesn't hurt me. Well, I missed people, yes. I miss talking to people because I can't talk too much to myself, you know.
For our outpatients booking and inpatients bookings, please press 9.
For X-ray or MRI appointments, press 8. Think I'll do that one again?
Caroline is one of the voices you'll hear while waiting to be put through. She's lived on the street for 10 years.
I love my own company and I'm always busy, thinking of the next project, being creative, writing, publicity. I'm really busy. I do a lot of cartoons.
So I may be American and do a little voice like that, you know?
Or if I'm English,
You know, she may have a little northern accent. Hello, and she'd be like that. So it depends on the sort of characters the producers want me to do.
until I moved here, I'd never been lonely in my life, ever. But because I'm now living in a house of my own, I started to feel strangely, at times, a bit empty, especially if I saw all the neighbours got gorgeous children running around and I love their children. And I thought, gosh, for a moment, it would have been nice to have had children.
I now know there are 66 children living on my street. Isabella is Jeremy and Susie's youngest. They moved in the same year I did, 1993, and are now the largest family living here.
We have 7 people in this house, and that's me, the youngest, Edward's 11, Robert's 13, Will's 14, James is 17, and I don't know how old my mum and dad are.
Did you intend to have such an enormous family?
I think you have to address that question to each of us individually. No, yes.
It's always very noisy, it's a bit chaotic. It's never lonely or anything, so that's good.
Tell me what it's like living in a big family.
Oh, you don't get that much food.
Yeah. They are always eating. Well, James, William and Robert would eat all the time. I mean, you saw that box of chocolate biscuits. It's Robert just ate his way through it. We tend to get stuff they don't like because it lasts longer.
You're not lonely, you have like loads of people taking care of you and talking to you, and it's really fun because you get to play with them all the time.
It's hard because your little sister always bosses you around.
Bye. Bye. Do you like living here, Edward?
Well, I thought of living in the street when I grow up because it's lovely and quiet, loads of nice neighbours, and you can always have lovely chat with them. And they're not the neighbours the type of neighbours if you kick a ball into their garden, they'll nick it. It's really nice.
Lovely and quiet with loads of nice neighbours. Edward might be surprised by the secrets lurking behind some of the closed doors on my street. Adam is one of the hidden people on the street, rarely noticed by his neighbours. He is 25 years old and has Tourette's syndrome. Though very intelligent and articulate, Adam's condition has blighted his life.
When someone tells me you have to be quiet, that's when I have to make the most noise. It's almost like it's a rebellion of mind. It's whenever I'm not supposed to say something, fuck you, kick out, niggers, tits, nice tits, that I have to say something. But you'll see, like in my fridge, I've got pretty much nothing. I've got a bottle of mayonnaise, some Rustico, I don't even know what this is, pasta sauce maybe?
Have you eaten today, Adam?
Not for the last 3 days. I know I had like 2 spoonfuls of couscous. And that was that yesterday.
How do you manage to cope living on your own? Because you've obviously got quite a few problems to cope with.
To be honest, not that well. Because I suffer from Tourette's syndrome, there are many other factors in Tourette's. You have OCD, which is obsessive-compulsive disorder. Obsessive-compulsive disorder. Obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Adam explained that his OCD is one of the reasons his flat is so chaotic and untidy.
Compulsive disorder. I can't work. With the Tourette's the way it is, I can't be relied on to get to work on time, for example, if I'm entering hospital 3 or 4 times a week. Fuck you! To I couldn't even do bar work because, I'd be dropping plates and bottles all over the place.
Might it be better if you were in some sort of sheltered housing?
Not at all. I think it's really important that I have my own independence. I love living here. I lived in several temporary accommodation flats before I moved here. You'd have to drag me kicking and screaming to get me out of this place. If you could just help me out to get a pizza or something, I'd be so grateful. You have no idea. Wankers, wankers, wankers. Sorry, I'm not swearing you, mate. Sorry, I have Tourette's syndrome. Please forgive me. Wankers, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. Yeah, I'd like to order the seafood pizza, please. Medium, please.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, but can you take off the anchovies, please?
Adam told me that recently he'd seen less and less of his Egyptian father and English mother.
I miss them terribly. I really miss them terribly. I do get very lonely, and sometimes I've stayed in relationships with girls longer than I would like to have done or should have done because I don't want to end it because I don't want to be alone.
Fuck.
What would make your life better?
Tourette's I can handle, but when I'm depressed, I'm so depressed that it reaches a point that I just can't cope. I can't deal with it, and that's the times when I'm at my worst.
Hello mate, how you doing?
I get very tempted to hurt myself.
Where do you go if you need help?
What kind of help do you mean?
You used to rely on your neighbours for help on streets like this. Now people keep themselves to themselves. But I did find one pocket of old-fashioned neighbourliness centred around Malcolm and Sarah's house.
Hello, Sue, come in. We've come to a Jewish musical household here. Front room, children doing some unwanted music practice, Rachel and Jonathan. But it's also where we do all sorts of other things, like watch telly. We've been here 19 years, I think, yes. Jonathan was born in the front room upstairs. Right, now we're going to the back room. We had this knocked together in about 2000 on the proceeds of a rather expensive redundancy. I'd always wanted a kitchen in my library or a library in my kitchen, so that's what we've got. We haven't got the ironing board out at the moment because you are guests. Right, up to the maestro's composer's suite. He's only got 2 interests, really, Arsenal and music. And what you get all round here is a bit of both. Husband doing arrangements for whatever it is he's doing arrangements for.
Well, I'm just beginning to sketch some ideas for what's going to be a children's opera. I'll spend most of this year writing it, and the premiere probably the end of next year. Unless you're writing commercial music, all other composers that I know are earning most of their income doing something else. So I'm director of music at the Menuhin School, and I teach 1 day a week at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I'm freelance conducting as well.
I think they thought when we did this conversion that it would be a conventional sort of master bedroom with an ensuite bathroom, and of course it isn't anything of the sort. It's more like to have a string quartet up here than somebody sleeping here.
Well, Rachel is 18 now, and she was born just after we moved in here, and Jonathan is 15 and a half, so this year's nightmare year with A-levels for Rachel and GCSEs for Jonathan.
Is it stressful?
Oh yes, it's definitely stressful. What's stressful about it is if I do go out in the evenings, I know that even if I leave them food, they won't eat vegetables and they won't concentrate as much as they should. So I've cut down on my evening engagements and making sure they're eating nutritiously and doing some work.
So what GCSEs are you doing?
Well, I did 2 last year. I'm doing 11 this year. So
Don't ask me.
total 13.
Rachel has an offer at Cambridge at Girton, so she'll get big fit calves.
What have you got to get?
3 A's.
I think you'll do it.
Depends who you ask. German teacher, no. History teacher, yes. So we'll just have to see.
We're both Cambridge graduates. We'd love her to go to Cambridge. I mean, there's no question of it.
I don't feel as strongly as Sarah. I didn't enjoy Cambridge as much as Sarah did when I was there.
Is that where you met?
No. We both come from the same rather small Jewish sect. We both went to Cambridge, though not at the same time. We then both won the same scholarship and went to the same American university, but not at the same time.
And it turned out we knew so many people in common when we did meet.
He was the first man I ever asked out.
And I had looked across the room and said, that's the woman I'm going to marry, so I did.
You can see out the back, which is really quite nice, because it's amazingly open. A lot of the Kiwis next door.
Is it fun living here, Camilla?
That's good.
Is
you
it?
never, ever, ever have a quiet day, or you've got no chance ever. Wake up and someone's either, right, let's go to the pub, or right, let's get drunk, or right, oh.
Oh, it's not all about getting drunk, though.
There are 5 Kiwi and Aussie households in my street. The one next door to Sarah and Malcolm is the most enthusiastic party givers. So what do you think you're like as neighbours?
Oh, they hate us.
No.
Oh, no, they're all right. They don't mind us, but they hate us.
They hate us.
There's about 9 of us at the moment. Yeah, well, if we've got dosses, they can crash on the couch, so sometimes get up to 14, even more. I had my best friend sleeping with me and her 2 brothers in the other bed, so... And if you have to get up early for work, you kind of got to pretend like...
I used to like coming home from the pub.
Do you want me to finish, or...?
No, I used to like coming home from the pub, her best mate and her were in bed, and I'd go for cuddles.
Have you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. Go. I always thought the Antipodeans were the best people in the whole fucking world. But then I got a English... She wasn't lover, she was a girlfriend. When I was with her, it was like an introduction to your culture.
What did you learn, Andrew? What did you learn?
She used to love getting tied up.
Whoa, good boy.
I don't think I'd like to have you as neighbours.
You wouldn't like us?
Why not?
Why not? I like you.
You can come over and party with us. Oh,
And bring your daughter.
Hi, come on in.
This is the home of Ali and Keith, 2 successful authors. Ali's an art historian, Keith's a music critic, and has written books on Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin. One son, Jay, is at university. The other, Louis, is still at school. But despite the appearance of normality, this is a family fighting for survival. In the winter of 2005, Keith was diagnosed with mesothelioma, a cancer with no known cure.
And we were told it's terminal and there was no point in doing anything. So at that point, it really felt like bereavement for all of us, because your life that you just take for granted suddenly disappears. completely. You just mourn for the fact that you have no future.
Keith and Ali opted for radical surgery, radio and chemotherapy, treatment so punishing each stage could have killed him. But they took that risk so Keith could live as long as possible.
I remember people saying, well, how could you make this choice? And I was saying, well, there's no choice. You have the radical treatment because otherwise you have that or you're dead. Is that a choice?
Do you want tea then?
No, thanks.
If someone says, how's your dad? Then you go, oh, he's okay, thanks. And it's nice to know that people will care about it. But you don't really want someone to sit you down and talk it through because it's not really what you want to talk about. I'm the money again. It's hard because you feel guilty when you go out or when you're not here. You're running away from it, and then like it hits you again, and you have to face up to the reality of it. And we all have our own ways of dealing with it. Like Louis plays his piano a lot, and I slob around watching football and grunting at people. So.
And how does it affect your relationship with Ali and the boys?
It's made it very direct and very simple because it's uncluttered. From my point of view, it's been a really good thing because the inessentials drop away. So you're left with the essentials which you can treasure.
With Ali at work, a handful of neighbours led by Sarah rallied round to take Keith to hospital for his daily treatments of radiotherapy.
They wrote their names against each day for 7 weeks. And for 7 weeks they took me in every day.
That's what's been absolutely fantastic and amazing. People have been so kind, and you expect it to begin with, but you don't expect it in that sustained way. Because we've had people, with us for 1.5 years now. Nobody's peeled off.
You don't really want to use words like extraordinary because it means it's out of the ordinary, but it's sort of not because it's within these people anyway, because it's part of everyday life and it's how the street functions, and you're part of that ordinary way that people go about their lives every day, but there's suddenly another dimension there as well, which is you desperately appreciate.
I think they did dust it at some point, but if you just open the window, then surely it just blows away.
No, it doesn't work.
It really has changed our attitude to people, because we were quite private before. And I think now we realise that people can be really, really great if we let them in a little bit.
Mum and Dad, however much problems they've got their own, the most important thing for them is that we keep on track and that we keep on with our schooling. Dad wants us to excel, so we know that and we're doing that for him.
Do you worry, Keith, what's going to happen to your family?
Absolutely. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. That's my main concern, yeah. I try to give to life what I can while I'm here, and then after I've gone, that's it.
I don't think we can really think ahead. It's just thinking about a day at a time. I'm beginning to think a little bit ahead, but I'm scared to think too much ahead. I prefer to think of it as I don't know, whereas before it was, we thought there was no chance at all. Now at least don't know is quite a good place to be.
When my street's oldest resident moved in, a whole house cost less than £1,000.
Why don't you sit down?
Alec is Polish and retired from his job in a bank 25 years ago.
Roast chicken and stuffing.
You have it.
Come on, I will put it to warm it.
No.
over there, and you will eat it.
Thank you.
Two of you.
No, you have it.
Too early for me.
Too early for me. Thank you very much.
I was 80. 11 years ago.
You're 91?
Yeah.
Really?
Unfortunately, yes. I haven't got brothers, sisters, all gone.
How long have you lived here, Alec?
In this house, yes, about 50 few years.
So you came here in what, late 40s? Yeah.
48.
Really? Do you
Exactly.
Do you like living in the street?
In the street? I never did live in the street. I always did live in the house, you know, not in the street.
Do you know many people in the street?
Well, here, no.
You've lived in this house, in this street, for over 50 years,
Yes.
and you know nobody in the street?
No. That's my duty to prepare bread for my pigeons. I sit here in the kitchen because it's very near to warm my dish or to prepare my tea. Pigeons are coming on the parapet.
All day you sit in here?
All day I'm sitting here.
Why do you still live in this big house, Alex, all on your own? Would you not be better in a smaller house?
I am accustomed to this house. I'm tied with this house, with everything good and everything less good. So I to change it now for something which is going to be a bit better or worse.
What happened to your wife?
Well, what do you want to know about my wife? She gone in 2000.
She died.
Yeah. She decided to leave me. In Hammersmith Hospital.
How do you look after yourself now, if you're on your own?
There is a couple coming who is coming, paying me a visit once a week. So they bring the bread for pigeons and some bread for me as well. Or whatever I urgently need. They are Monday to day. They are coming tomorrow.
Just over the road from Alec lives the street's unlikeliest millionaires.
Yeah.
Thomas Jr. spends his day looking after his widowed father, Thomas Sr., and cleaning the rooms that make up their rental property empire.
The other two houses Dad's got are investments, and we make a living out of letting itself. It's a lot of work involved, making sure the houses are kept clean.
Despite having 14 bedrooms to choose from, Thomas and Thomas live in just 2 rooms on the ground floor of their enormous house. Do you live like a millionaire, Thomas?
No, normal person. I don't let it go to my head at all. I'm a bit of a miser. I like to get my bargains.
Or would your dad nag you if you spent it?
Oh, it's like an old woman at times.
You actually can't spend all this money that you've potentially got because of your dad.
Yeah. You know, eventually I will get it and make sure Gordon Brown don't get it. And I'll just have one big, huge piss up.
Do you get a bit worn out looking after your dad?
Oh, yeah. Getting out of bed in the morning, moaning it's the heat, you know, and make me a cup of tea, with medication and all that, it can be bloody hard work.
Is it?
And I just often just stick the two fingers up to Dad, see you later, and I just walk out, what you call a cooling period. And it just lets Dad think that he can't be nagging me all the time.
Would you think of putting him in a home?
No, I wouldn't. It'd never happen, but that's the last thing I want to see. But Dad has to realise he's slowing down. He's slowing down with age. I can feel it as well. I'm pushing 40 and I'm slowing down as well. I can't do what I've done, say, 20 years ago. Age is setting now.
Oh, Thomas, you're only 39.
Yeah.
Spring chicken.
It's true, I can feel it. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Hello. Come in. Welcome.
Peter and his late wife Trina made a living out of interior design and property development. He's been living here for 7 years, and his house is the grandest on the street.
A rather large living room. I'm certainly going to stay here for the time being. I've no plans to move, but I never think this is forever. I know a lot of people think that way, but my wife and I, we used to move quite regularly. We come to the less smart end, where my daughter, who's studying graphic design, is at home trying to do a project, not here at the moment.
Does she still live with you?
No, she's recently left and now sharing a flat with fellow students. But I mean, she comes back to make a mess and borrow money. Our large and nice kitchen breakfast room, which I designed so that other people could cook in it. We enjoyed the blank canvas of a new house and making it as we wanted it. Do you want to see my fridge?
Yes.
Would you like to see my fridge, which is not small? It's a corner fridge.
Having designed his kitchen around what is undoubtedly the largest fridge in the street, Peter now has time for his other passion, writing.
I've been writing most of my grown-up life with varying degrees, actually not varying degrees of success, very little success. But recently, having been able, luckily, to retire a little bit earlier than most people, I will now be able to have one last bash, if you like, at doing what I really want to do. Or, you know, find out that I've never had the talent anyway, and it was all a bit of a pipe dream. Lo and behold, at my late age, I was 60 the other day, a production company have agreed and want to do one of my sitcoms. So that's where we are at the moment. And you know, I haven't actually been commissioned, they've still got to go and sell it to a broadcaster, but they want to do it. It is very exciting. It is a sort of dream come true, in a way. I have to admit that.
Tell me about Trina, tell me what happened.
In 2004, she developed a very bad chesty cough, like pneumonia. She was seen to straight away and sadly diagnosed with lung cancer. She lasted for about 17 months and died in September 2005. She was, I know I'm biased, but the most dynamic character I've ever met because of her energy and her generosity of spirit, and obviously a huge tragic blow. But one's learned to live with the aftermath. A lot's happened in this household over the last few years. It makes for a rich life. I'd rather sort of things happening and things to look forward to. And realizing, or trying to realize, ambitions. That's what keeps you going, I think.
Testing 1, 2, 3. This is Caroline. Straight voiceover reads. Welcome to the Parliamentary voicemail system. To log into your own mailbox, press #1. This is where I do all my makeup before I do my shows and I go out in my various characters. I do my makeup in here because it's very bright, lots of mirrors, lots of light. To leave a message for another mailbox user, press #2. Now this room's special because this is where I have all my wigs and costumes, and the only problem is if I've got people sleeping here, they do get a bit nervous when they wake up in the morning and see all the wigs. I go out into town and do my voiceovers, usually in Soho, and then I do my live work on stage and do corporate work, parties, private dues as famous people. Well, Sherry Blair actually speaks a little bit like me. She has a flat A sometimes, so when she talks, she might say had instead of had. Tony, would you please put that down? My favourite character at the moment is Sharon Osbourne.
She's got that little girly voice she puts on, and the competitors will come in and she'll go, "Oh, you look fabulous, and I love your voice, and you're going to make it big in this industry. You've got that special X factor. Yes, you have."
For as long as I can remember, I've been a workaholic. I've never been married because I've always said I'm married to my career. And that's how it's been. My mum and dad would have loved me to have got married and had children, but it never happened. I am generous, caring, romantic, funny, bubbly and artistic. I'm passionate about people.
Caroline's had relationships in the past, but for the first time, she's taken to the internet to find a man.
I think now I'm ready to find a new relationship, and I'll be very open to it. It's like diving into the unknown because I'd never done it before. Never wanted to do it. Blind dating was not me. And I got a professional photograph and I put that on and did my profile and actually got quite a few hits, as it were, and started emailing people. And I've had a couple of dates. Online, people put, 5'10", 6 foot. In fact, they even said on the phone, one guy said, "I am 6'1", as if I was going to go, "Oh, how fabulous, you're 6'1", brilliant." But when he came to the actual restaurant, he was about 5'9". They seem to lie about their heights, which is really funny. And not only that, they were all older than they said online. The profile is driving me mad. I keep changing it because I don't know what to put. And some people said, "Don't put that you're single and no children because they'll be wondering why. Oh, is something wrong with you?" So what do I put? I'm a widow? No.
What do you put?
Separated? No. Divorced? Maybe. So it's difficult.
So you're fibbing as well?
No, I haven't put it yet. I was thinking I might, if it attracts more people. But you've got to try everything.
Been living here just over a year, and I came here from hospital.
Why were you in hospital?
Well, originally I was diagnosed as having schizophrenia. I hear voices. So I still hear voices, and I take medication for it.
Are they scary, the voices?
I used to be, yeah. I used to have a terrible time with them. They seem to have calmed down.
After A-levels, Joseph went travelling. He spent 2 years in Thailand with friends.
My friends got involved in drug smuggling, and they asked if I wanted to do it as well.
Were you not frightened, Joseph, of days?
The first time I did it, I was quite scared. But we actually swallowed the hash as we made it up into pellets.
How many pellets were you taking?
About 60 to 80, I think it was. I should have gone home. It was about the 5th time I'd done a run, and this was going to be my last time I was going to do it. I thought if I just get some money, then I can go home. They got in at Narita Airport in Japan, and they suspected that I had drugs inside me. So they took me for an X-ray and found them. So I was caught. Ended up getting 3.5 years and a 500,000 yen fine, which I couldn't pay. It's nearly 4 years in all. It's quite a long sentence for what it was, 800 grams of hash. So the first 6 months were all right, really. And then I lost my cool and threw some work materials on the floor. I just spent the rest of the time, another 3 years in solitary confinement. I was fine for the first sort of 6 months that I was back. And I sort of lost it totally. And I was walking around shouting in the street. I was shouting at the voices. And I started seeking psychiatric help after that. Auditorial hallucinations, I think the voices were called. I don't know whether they'll ever go away. I mean, as soon as I wake up in the morning, they start talking to me. It's pretty tedious, really.
Life on my street continues, but now I recognise faces as they go about their daily business. Houses that were once blank and anonymous now contain lives and stories I know. There are some new faces too, like recent arrivals, Josh and Emma.
Good afternoon. Hello, come in.
You've got to eat all those greens before you get down.
Yes. Next week I'm up into Darlington for a couple of days and I've got to go down to Plymouth to do some training.
So you need something to make it stand out a bit more.
Josh and Emma are a young professional couple with high-pressured jobs, 1 child and a nanny.
So it would go like this. Yes.
They paid over £800,000 for their house, a record price for the street, and then promptly began spending another small fortune doing it up. But some of the newcomers to the street are from the other end of the economic scale. Little Carol and his parents moved here from Poland seeking a better life. Now the 3 of them live in a single rented room that costs £80 a week. Magosha was too embarrassed to let us film there.
The room is not in very good condition and hasn't got many facilities, which makes it really hard for us to live. Especially when we had a nice house in Poland, that's make even more difficult. But the rent is very cheap and that's the way we can save money at the moment. I miss my family and my friends. I feel quite lonely in here, but my dream is to have a nice house and a car to go to good school and of course find a job for myself. And I think that'll be all.
I keep looking at the lens.
Keith continues to defy all the odds and is still living on the street with Ali and their 2 sons. Joseph is also doing fine, seeing his family every weekend and, slowly but surely, finding his feet again.
I'm quite happy at the moment, but I don't want this to be it, sort of thing. Be pretty bored if I just live on income support all the rest of my life.
Peter's still hoping that one day his dream will come true and his sitcom will get the go-ahead. And Caroline has yet to meet the man of her dreams, but she's still enthusiastically internet dating. In between making her appearances as Margaret Thatcher. But for Adam, alone in his flat, things were not going well.
White niggas, cut, white, for about 3 hours now, just non-stop. I get a breather every 2 or 3 minutes. It will stop for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. But otherwise, fuck, carries on. And there have only been 4 people, maybe 5, in my life that I've ever shown this to, because I'm too embarrassed. Outside. I can't go out. I can't eat. I keep throwing up. I keep needing something to take the pain. I keep topping up with diazepam and painkillers, anything to just fuck, take some of the pain. And I'm just exhausted.
Not long after this, Adam's condition got even worse. Eventually, he was taken into Ealing Hospital.
I'm tired, you know, but I wanna sleep. And sometimes I wanna sleep and never wake up.
I saw Adam when he came home from hospital. 3 weeks later, he was found dead in his flat. Adam was just 25 years old and had lived the last 4 years of his life alone on my street.